Hello, everybody out there. We're live now again with our live chats for Tarotverband, the German Tarot Association. And I'm very pleased that I have with me today Steve. Hello, Steve.
Hi, Kirsten. Hello, everybody.
I hope you're all okay out there. Steve is oh no, I forgot it again. The mediator coordinator.
Almost. Mentor coordinator.
Sorry, the mentor coordinator of the OBOT. We're going to talk about OBOT in a second. Before this, just for everybody to know out there, please ask questions, comment, and whatever you ask, I can bring into the conversation. And I'm sure you will have an interesting time with us. I'm a bit transparent today. I don't know where I'm going to beam myself today. So please, the lightning is a bit difficult here today. Anyway, Steve, what is OBOD?
Okay, so OBOD, OBOD. So it's the Order of Bards, Ovates, and Druids. I believe, to the best of my knowledge, it's the biggest Druid order in the world. It's been in existence for a very long time, and it offers a sort of training program in Druidry as well as a worldwide network of meetings, groves, and seed groups, and meets for different camps when we're able to, and all sorts. So it's a huge worldwide order of Druidry.
Druidry, that there are several branches of Druidry, but what does a Druid do? And in opposition or in differentiation to a Bard?
Okay, well, in OBOD, the training program takes you through the three different levels, really: Bard, and then Ovate, and then Druid, where you learn different aspects of what Druidry is, really.
Mm-hmm.
I think it's a very difficult thing to define what a Druid actually is. I mean, historically, Druids would have been, as well as priests, they would have been judges as well at court, but advisors to kings and the ruling class, and used as well as consulted for divination, celebrants to conduct weddings, and so forth. I do remember when somebody who was sort of very experienced in Druid was asked how to define a Druid or define Druidry. She said, well, you can't define Druidry because Druidry is unlimited. So I think that was a great response. So Bard is the first level that you enter into, and you learn about the elements and the wheel of the year, the different festivals, the solstices, equinoxes, and so on, and a whole load more besides, but how to work ritually with those festivals and how you relate to the elements. So it's an ongoing program of personal discovery and development, really.
Is it a religion if you're a Druid?
Well, I would say it's a spirituality rather than a religion. Anybody can join to be a member of the order. You don't have to enroll on the course to be a member of OBOD. So there's no organization in that sense. But it's really, I would say, it's a nature-based spirituality. It's not a religion.
So you do online courses, or do you also, if possible, we have to say now, meet up in person?
Well, there are lots of meetings that are held. I mean, I think there's very few happening now. I think some of the smaller local groups, and there's lots of seed groups or groves all over the world. I think some are meeting up, and so on, but a lot are being done by, the same way that we're talking now, I think. But there are sort of week-long camps are held over here. There's a summer and a winter gathering held in Glastonbury over here. Summer and winter solstices, those are held at, and the summer one's just an amazing celebration. And OBOD, the order, is full of the most incredibly talented people, in the bardic arts, whether it's musicians or poets and artists. And there's a big Eisteddfod, as it's called, artistic expression party in the evening, and the first time I went, I thought, my God, these people are so good. It really is full of the most incredibly talented people.
When did you join the Abbot?
Oh, when did I join? Now there's a question. I think the early 1990s, I think. The training program, Bard and then Ovate and then Druid, it's a minimum of a year in each grade, really, but most people take a lot longer. I took 12 years to work my way through because it runs very deep. Ovate is a process of sort of death and rebirth, really. And you learn tree lore and the divinatory arts and all sorts of amazing things. And then there's the last grade of Druid, where you look into the more mythological and Arthurian mysteries and all sorts. So, I joined it. It took me 12 years. And then I felt a need to, or a desire to give back a bit, and thought, this is the most amazing course I've ever done, And so I asked, about being a mentor. There's a training program which I administer now for that. And I mentored for about 10 or 12 years, and then became an assistant to Susan Jones, who was the coordinator before me. Mm-hmm. And then about 3 years ago, she decided to retire, and here I am.
Wow.
Yeah, it's just evolved. It's got its own life.
So do you work kind of rituals when you go through this process, or is it more like meditations, or a combination?
Both. There are lots and lots of inner journeying and visualizations work and so on that's suggested for you. But there's nothing that you have to do, mm-hmm. Continually in the lesson booklets, as they're called, that are sent out. It's, Philip, who wrote them, is always saying, well, if this feels right for you, do this. Mm-hmm. So, but obviously people are encouraged to celebrate the festivals, whether it's ritually, or they may say prepare a special meal, bring in their families and so on. It's very, very integrative thing like mm-hmm. that. So there's nothing that says you must do this, you cannot be a druid with unless you do this. It's not like that at all. It's a very open path, I think. One of the things that always appealed to me about it is, although it's a pagan path of spirituality, it's nature-based spirituality, but you can be a Christian druid or a follower of the Norse mythologies or Buddhism or whatever approach. And I love that openness about it. For me, that was one of the big things that I liked and still love about it.
Oh, that's interesting. I thought you would only be working with, like Arthur legends and.
Well, you do, but it's done, and there's room for each individual. One person's idea or view of deity may be very different to another's, because of course our experience is our own. It's individual. So it's you follow your way within those concepts that Druidry puts across.
Sounds really interesting.
It's wonderful. It's it can give you a way of life, but it's a whole journey of personal transformation and discovery, and I've done loads and loads of different courses, but I've always said this is the single best one I've done has been the Obod course.
Well, anybody who's now really excited about this, please look into the show notes, because I linked to the Obod there. So you can find all the information. I guess you can find also all the information about the course on the webpage. But you, Steve, have to tell me now, what does tarot have to do with Obod?
Well, officially nothing. It's, the tarot isn't part of Obod, nor is it part of the training program or anything. But of course, there are an awful lot of people within the order who work with tarot and use tarot, and it feeds its way in, to the way that you can work with it. But there's not an official link between tarot and Druidry. That said, there are Druid tarot decks, of course.
Yeah, like, of course, the Druidcraft tarot.
Yes.
Which is not by you.
No, that one was done by Philip and Stephanie Cargom. Philip was the chosen chief of the order for about 32 years, I think it was. Ema Burke has now taken over from Philip as he's retired in that role.
Oh, I didn't know.
But that was at solstice in June this year. So, but he and his wife Stephanie and the artist Bill Worthington produced the Druid craft deck, which was using a lot of symbolism from Druidry as well as Wicca, as in the craft. So it's that lovely blend of the two. It's been an incredibly popular deck. It's wonderful.
Of course, we have it, and we also did a video for anybody who wants to watch in German. I have my green screen on, so it's a bit transparent. I'm just showing here the magician and the high priestess.
Yes.
And I was wondering, are you actually, if you're meeting up, wearing such costumes? Or do you do it without costume?
Well, Druids, a lot of people, if they are conducting a ritual, whether it's individually, they do it by themselves, or we meet together as a group, lots of them will wear a robe. But you don't have to. It's not something that's a prerequisite, but when you put on a robe or even just a special coat or something, then there's a lot of symbolism attached to that, and you shift from being your normal everyday self, whether in your work you're a lawyer or a doctor or a dustman or whatever you might be. When you put that on, you become that more magical self, so it can help that inner transformation. And of course, over here, if you're conducting outdoor ritual, whether you're in the middle of Stonehenge or on the top of a hill, it's cold. It's always really, really windy, and at dawn, so it makes practical good sense as well. But you don't have to. Nobody bats an eyelid if you turn up in your everyday clothes and half a robed, half a not. It's fine.
Are you allowed to go to Stonehenge?
You can't just turn up and get access into the stones. No, you have to get permission from English Heritage, who are the body that look after Stonehenge. And you can, I think, pay to get group access. I think the only time they open it up is at dawn for the solstice, apart from this year, of course. But I have issues there because you get loads of people and it's just a party, and that's, this is a safe time.
It's like here the Externsteine, they are called. It's a place where the Saxonians did their rituals, and it's really not a good idea to have it open for festivals.
Well, exactly.
Quite bad, actually. People are saying in the comments that they really love the Druid craft. But I learned that you have done your own tarots, and perhaps you want to tell us a bit about this.
Yes, I've worked with the tarot all my life, really, I suppose, since I was in my teens, and just evolved from just being a tarot reader, into everything that I do now. And so I wanted to create a tarot deck just because I wanted to. I had no idea what about or whatever. But I was lucky enough to be able to create two, actually. And the first one I wanted, for me, the tarot is all about energies. It's not about a fortune telling thing. Each card has its own energy. And when we work with cards, whether it's in a reading or a meditation or whatever, they're an expression of energy. So I was trying to get across, how can I show that energy in a card or in a tarot deck? And for me, the best place as a druid to find that energy is the natural world. So the four suits in the minor arcana, as I'm sure lots of people watching will know, are really based on the four elements: the earth, air, fire, and water. So that's what my suits are, just grabbing a card at random. The eight of fire, as I call it, the eight of wands, that would be me, is a firestorm. I'm trying to get it so it's in the screen there.
It looks very good. I can see it very clearly. It looks brilliant.
It's very powerful.
Yeah, it is.
I'm just trying to find something different here. The two of water. Water would be the two of cups. So this is rain.
Wow.
Very hard to show rain on an image. So it's a very, very different deck. There's none of the usual symbolism on cards. It's just purely images from nature. In the major arcana card, we get the bigger, more dramatic scenes.
It's amazing. I really like it. What's it called?
I struggled with this for ages. What do I call it? I'm trying to get the right angle. That would be the death card, drought.
Oh, no, I meant the whole deck, the name.
Yes, so the whole deck, I really struggled trying to think, what do I call it? Do I call it the Tarot of Nature, the Tarot of the Elements, the Natural Tarot? And because it was an idea of what I work with the tarot as a therapy, I kept running these ideas. And it was actually my brilliant wife who said, why don't you just call it the Tarot Therapy Deck? And it was just like, oh yeah, of course. Yeah. So
And,
that one's called the Tarot Therapy Deck.
and where can you buy it? Is it available?
It is on Amazon, but probably either from there or direct on my own website,
Okay.
so tarottherapy.co.uk. I think you've put that in the notes, haven't you?
I did. I did.
Yeah, there's a shop on there you can,
It,
and you'll see pictures of some of the cards as well.
it looks excellent. I've never heard of it, and I like it very much, I have to say.
Good.
It's
I
especially
found
good
it
for
the deck
people who are
that
not so uh, don't know so much about the symbolism of the card.
absolutely you don't need any of that knowledge,
Yeah.
because it's very different. I say people I've found either they respond exactly like you have, oh, I really like this deck, or they're like, no, I don't get it. you know
Amazing.
So it's not for everybody. It was never intended to be a mass market deck. It's one that I produced myself, but the quality is very good. The card quality is, I think, very, very good. I've got a
And
great printer, fortunately.
and the second deck?
Yeah, the second deck was about 3 years ago, I think, and this was something that again happened by you get these guided things. Was an artist called Patrick Gamble, who's a visionary artist, and he came to visit us. We had clients coming for him to paint spirit guides. He's like a medium, and he can see people's guides, and then he paints them in oils and brings messages through. It's an amazing thing. Anyway, he'd created all a sort of oracle deck, and I was looking through it and said to him, Patrick, really, so many of these images are tarot card images. If you added some symbolism in here and made the odd change, this would be a tarot deck. Haven't you thought of doing this? And he said, oh, I don't really know much about tarot, though, but I have thought about it. I said, well, look, if I guide you through this, I'll write the book, you do the images, and that's what we did. So it's the Gamble Hounsome, which was in homage to the Rider-Waite-Smith, the Hounsome Roberts, but particularly the Morgan Greer Tarot, because that was my first ever deck, which I've still got and I love dearly. But I subtitled it The Tarot of Gnosis. And Gnosis is like our inner knowing, our wisdom.
Like Gnosis
So
with a G?
yes, that's
Yeah.
it. Yeah,
Okay.
Gnosis, knowing wisdom. Yeah, because that's what it's geared to. I feel the images are a key to letting you access your own wisdom and knowledge inside. But his artwork is just stunning.
Wow.
This is the Hierophant card. There's a lot more detail than is probably visible on camera, but so that would be the Hierophant, and I called it
Amazing.
sacred because that, to me, is what the Hierophant does. He gives us access to what's sacred to
Yeah.
us. This card, it's hard to get them to come up. There we are. Is the Six of Cups, and this is a beautiful image of a Native American communicating with Great Spirit. And so you see the cups forming there from beautiful open heart and feelings. There's a heart just under the face of Great Spirit there, which is probably not visible. There's an awful lot of detail, but his artwork is stunning and beautiful. There's so many images. This is the card of the world.
You have to put it more closer, so it's better.
Yeah, I'm trying to get the angle right. There we are. Again, you see, so this would be the world card. Again, you can't see too much of the detail. It's a bit overexposed in the lights here, but the elements are all around that ancient wisdom figure in the middle. So it's a very visionary deck, but it's proved incredibly popular, and I find it really inspires people when I work with people. If I'm doing readings for them when they're here, then they can look at it and they start seeing things in the artwork themselves because there's so much subtle detail in Pat's artwork. So it's a beautiful deck.
So people have asked, what's it? The name again? I put it into the commentary. It's Gnosis for the Germans.
Let me stand up and grab
Like
the book
Gnosis.
that comes with it. And if I hold that up, hopefully everybody will be able to
Ah,
see.
it's a bit more.
Oh,
Yeah, you have to think the other way around. Yes, the
how's that?
Gamble Hansen Tarot of Gnosis.
Yeah, there's a bit of a delay in
Gnosis.
what I see, so I'm
Yeah,
catching up with
yeah,
you.
it's good. You can see it now. It looks
Okay,
really good. Really interesting tarot.
but
And
again, people can see it on my website.
yeah,
Again, that's the easiest way. Yeah.
again, we have the Tarot Therapy UK, CO UK website. And now you have to tell me, how long have you been doing tarot?
Oh, it's well, like I say, I started really when I was in my teens, just really just playing, I suppose. But I would do readings for my friends out of a book and all of that. So I was 56 a couple of weeks ago, so that's a good 40 years more. So
Wow.
yeah. I know. It fascinated me when I was in my teens. I don't know why nobody in the family had tarot or anything like that, but I just got fascinated by it, and I saw the image. I don't know if people remember. There's the Led Zeppelin album, the one with Stairway to Heaven on it. It was their fourth album. It's the most. And in the days of vinyl, when I got that album, you opened it up and it had this beautiful image of the Hermit card, Jimmy Page's face in it. And
Really?
I loved that image, and I still love it. I've always loved that hermit. That's he's it for me. I've got him tattooed up here as well. I carry him with me everywhere. And there was something about that image. It just hooked me, and so I wanted to learn more. So I just studied and read and did courses, and it's just evolved into where I'm at with it now. I'm more obsessed probably now with it than I was when I started, I think.
Yeah, and that's something we need to talk about. You have
Mm,
the webpage Tarot Therapy. So obviously you're working with tarot, not only
yeah.
as a druid. So
Mm.
what I also know that you have another website called Transformation Through Tarot.
Yes, that was the course that I did with Philip Cargon, who
Okay.
did the Druidcraft Tarot. So, like I say, Philip was the chief of Obod for a long, long time, and he was visiting us, and the conversation, as it often does in our house, got round to the tarot, and so we were discussing and talking about tarot. And then after he left and got home again, Philip phoned me, and we were talking about really how the tarot can be used for so much more than just doing readings, and predicting futures. That's not really what I'm into. Um, we were talking about how the tarot can be used as a platform for our own growth and development and so on. And so Philip, said he was thinking about this on his way home, and he phoned me to say, "Look, would you like to do a course on this together?" And I said, "Well, it's funny you say that, actually, because I've had this idea for this course for ages, but I've never quite known what to do with it or how to put it together or what have you." And that's became the Transformation Through Tarot course. Yeah, and
That's
the response
amazing.
has been amazing. People love it. Yeah.
Yeah, so for this, again, there's the website in the show notes if you want to know more. But now you have to tell me all about tarot therapy.
Okay, so the basic idea, and the transformation course ties in with this whole process really very, very closely. But the basic idea for me was that even though when I started, I used to do psychic fairs and then into phone readings for a while. I managed a telephone psychic line for a long time. I used to come out to Berlin, actually, where there was a studio, and do filming. I used to trundle out to Berlin 2 or 3 times a year,
Wow.
as part of that telephone psychic management thing. But it was about predicting futures for people, telling people what would happen. And the longer I went on, the more I learnt about tarot. I kind of felt uncomfortable with it. It didn't have a feeling of helping people and empowering them. I felt, well, really, if you were telling people this is going to happen, where's the opportunity for them to learn and to grow? And I just developed that whole sense and idea and feeling, and it became tarot therapy, which is really taking away the idea of a card means this, that, or the other. You know, because I'm often saying to my tarot students, the cards don't mean anything. What they are, through their symbolism and the artwork and whatever's in there, is an expression of that energy. And our role as a tarot reader is to explain what that energy is and interact with the client to determine what it's representing for them, and most importantly, how they can best respond to it. Mm-hmm. So it's, for me, it's like stripping the tarot down to its original core energy, its original power, and then we can learn through the different techniques that are more sort of therapeutic and so on to tap into that energy and use it to help ourselves.
Are you also a therapist?
Well, yeah, I mean, I've done counselling training. I'm only part qualified. I didn't do the whole thing because it was veering into all sorts of other areas. I'm a healer as well. I've qualifications in healing and also regression as well. I've recently finished an amazing course of life between lives regression, incredibly fascinating stuff. So I've lots of qualifications in different areas, but I stress that it's not like a form of counselling. Mm-hmm. It's really there to empower people. And the way I put it is that it's helping you to help yourself.
Yeah, that's always a good thing.
Absolutely.
I just see whether this worked out. Yeah, Christine is asking whether you only use the majors or also the minor arcana.
I am a big fan of always using the whole deck, and that actually, and thank you for the question, Christine, because it allows me to explain a bit more about the tarot therapy idea. Because for me, a human being is a tarot deck. Okay,
sorry, I need to read the comments.
Yeah, we are all living, breathing tarot decks. So where I said that the four suits, when I was talking about my deck, where I said that the four suits are the four elements, so the earth, water, air, and fire, for me, they relate and show the energies of us physically, emotionally, mentally, and spiritually. So all of the four levels of a human being are there in the four minor arcana suits. And then if you combine those four different suits, or the four different energies, the four different levels of a human being, excuse me, then you get the complete person. So that's what I call the soul, or the the major arcana. So following the holistic idea, the whole is greater than the sum of the parts. So for me, it's always about using the whole deck because it's the whole person.
And if you're doing your therapy, counseling or whatever it is properly, do you also use your druidic skills?
Well, to a degree, I suppose, because it's really about the knowledge and experience of all that studying that I did with the course, mm-hmm. as well as, I suppose, my connection with nature. I love to give people sort of self-help exercises, based on what might come up in their reading. Let's take, for example, the Nine of Swords. I'm sure I won't be able to find a Nine of Swords quick enough. But as I'm talking, I'm looking through the Druidcraft deck to see if I can find it. There it is. Thank you. The gods that are good. So the Nine of Swords card. This is the Druidcraft card from it. It's fairly standard. Somebody sat up in bed with their head in their hands and all these sorts. Now, for me, that card is often about swords, is about our thoughts and about our mind. So that is often when somebody's overthinking. They've got something stuck in their head they just can't shift, and it may be keeping them awake at night. We go round the same subject Somebody told me once, if we're trying to work something out we can't process or understand something, on average each piece of information we go through our mind about 200 times, and that's an incredible drain of energy. So it's no wonder we can't sleep, and wake up at night. So something I might suggest to someone is, okay, so we've identified you've got this thing, whatever it is, going round and round in your head. We need to shift this. So I might suggest to them, okay, so focus on that, just be aware of it, close your eyes and breathe, and then sit and write. It doesn't matter what you write, just let yourself free flow about whatever the subject is, and just let things pour out. If you write pages and pages, that's fine. If you write 5 sentences, that's fine. But it's about getting it out of your mind. And then I'll suggest that they go outside and burn it. A little ritual of release, and it goes away. And then that shifts that stuck energy. And then we'll look at the next card to see, okay, what happens now? How do we respond to that? How do we bring that in? I might give them an affirmation to work with, based on the cards.
That brings me to one card I find very special about the Druid craft deck, which is the 7 of Swords.
7 of Swords, yes.
Because, sorry, my green screen is not doing... as you can see, there's a guy writing on this card. So this has kind of become my creative writing card.
Yes.
But it's totally different from what we know from the Wade Smith deck. So, but it seems to has to do with getting something out of your system by writing then?
Yes, absolutely. It can be. It can be to do with, I think, communication a lot more, because obviously that can be included as part of what Swords is all about, as everybody knows, I'm sure. For me, the way I arrive at an understanding of what each of the minor cards are about is to combine the energy of the suit it belongs to. So in this case, the element of air. So it's to do with our mental level. It's to do with our minds and so on. 7 for me is about our life path, following our destiny. Are we understanding this or not? So sometimes for me, this 7 of Swords card can be about, are we listening to the messages we are getting or need to be getting in our own minds? Are we receiving communication? Do we need to give communication? So it's about this free flow of that mental energy. Mm-hmm. How aware of what's going on in our head are we being? Are we listening to those inner thoughts and messages?
Yeah, interesting. Yeah, I can relate to this. I have to put in some questions here because people are asking.
Yeah, absolutely.
Kirsten wants to know whether you work with reversals.
I don't know. Not in terms of having cards upside down, because the general idea, of course, with that is that it brings out, if you like, I suppose, the negative side of the card. But for me, in my life experience, life is never all bad or all good. If you look hard enough, you'll find something that's more difficult when everything's going brilliantly, and something that is positive when everything appears to be going. It's not logical, and nor is it clearly defined. This is good, that is bad. It's all in together. So for me, the card is just the card. It doesn't matter which way up the piece of card actually faces, whether it's like that or it's like that. Yeah. But what I try to do is include both aspects in it. Mm-hmm. And with intuitive awareness and experience with the cards, that will show you which aspect you need to focus on. So it's a bit like the yin yang symbol. There's a bit of the dark in the light. Mm-hmm. That's kind of why I don't. But I'm not saying no, ignore half the energy of the card. It's all there, regardless of which way up the card is actually facing. For me.
Yeah. Anybody out there who is really interested in reversals, in our Mediathek of Tarotverband, there is a video with me and Mary Kay Greer who's very much into reversals. And
Yes.
it was a brilliant interview, and she says a lot about this. So just have a look.
Yeah. There's a book she wrote called Tarot Reversals,
Yeah.
which I've got, and it's one I haven't read yet. But
It's really
for
good. You
me,
should
which
read
I'm
it.
really looking forward to reading,
Yeah.
because Mary Greer, for me, you know, she's my tarot heroine.
Star.
Her books are just fantastic. So I'm going to be really interested to read what she says. I might change my mind.
Yeah, she is really lovely as well. So it was a
She is.
very nice
Yeah.
talk. But it's very nice to talk to you as well. And Christine, I'm not sure what Christine asks with this, but she's asking writing with tarot ? So I think she's talking about what you said about the Nine of Swords, right?
Yes. Okay. So that was about a sort of self-help exercise I give people, particularly with something like the Nine of Swords, but where there's an over and abundance of mental energy and it needs to be shifted. Getting out of that cycle of repetitive thought, you know. So I'd suggest people just sit and write down whatever comes into their head and into their heart. They can just write whatever they like, and they can be brutally honest. They can say whatever they want to say, and that's part of the process, part of the point, because nobody's ever going to see it. So they can put down on paper all the things that they really want to say but might not dare to, and then take it outside safely and burn it. Release that energy.
Yeah. So that's kind of writing therapy, but
Yes, very much so. I'm a big fan of journaling as well, but some things you need to get rid of and not keep.
yeah, it's great. And there are people who are working with tarot, Christine, in the way of creative writing, like
Yes.
using it as a tool for being inspired or
Oh,
making
absolutely.
characters up, creating characters, the hero's journey, stuff like this. There's a lot
Absolutely.
of stuff
It's
about
perfect.
this.
One of my favorite things that I like to do when I have like a certificate in tarot therapy course and then a diploma and so on. Again, they're on the website, but you can do it by distance learning. But when we hold it here, I'm often illustrating a card. When I'm talking about a card or we're discussing it as a group, I will often illustrate it with a particular character or a scene from a film and so on.
Yeah.
Because people relate to it. You
Yeah.
know, there are so many wonderful examples, you know, and it got to the point, particularly for me, Star Trek and Star Wars. And
I
it gets
remember
to the
you wanted
stage
the
now.
Star Trek tarot.
There's a Star Trek tarot coming out in December. I cannot wait to get my hands on it. I'm so pleased. I've been saying for years somebody needs to do this.
We had
But
this
it's a bit, the students groan now when they say, "Oh, here we go again."
Yeah, I really wanted the Buffy tarot, but it never came out in the end, which was very upsetting for me.
Yeah.
I would have liked that
Well, there was
one.
Game of Thrones, of course,
Yeah,
which
Game of
is
Thrones
pretty
deck
good.
is quite nice as
You
well.
know, there were so many different things that Amy, my wife, and I watched where we're thinking, okay, tarot deck. This is going. Outlander is something that has been around for a while. It goes into past lives and things, and that will make an amazing deck.
So, not people from Germany can really consult you in person unless you do Skype
Oh yeah.
consultations.
Yeah, I work with Skype. Yeah, well, I mean, we have to now, but I've always done that. I obviously with being able to hold the cards up, but I found it doesn't detract at all actually from the reading process. Maybe because I got used to doing readings at a distance, when I did the phone readings and so on for so many years. But I find the cards know what they're doing. The right cards always come out, so it's not a problem.
Bob writes here, Sulu must be the King of Swords.
Who must be the King of Swords?
Sulu?
Oh, I'm not sure, but yes, he's thinking. I suspect there was an episode where Sulu, he goes a bit mad, and he's into I think it's fencing, and he's charging around the ship, challenging everybody to fights. So that's probably why. So yeah, good call. We've got to wait to see. Of course, the Enterprise itself is the chariot. This makes perfect sense.
Obviously.
Yeah. But this is the deck is the one that's coming out. Is on the original series with Captain Kirk and Sulu and so on. But when I emailed the creators, they said there are plans to do sort of other decks because there's lots of other series in Star Trek. So good for them.
So if one does your course Tarot, transformation through Tarot, will one learn also these techniques you're describing in your consultations?
Well, yes, learn them by doing them. That's what's in there. It's 9 lessons. You can work with any tarot deck at all. It doesn't have to be, the Druidcraft or my decks at all. Any deck whatsoever. It needs to be a tarot deck rather than an oracle deck. But your own deck is going to be the best one. And although we illustrate it with images from one of my decks and the Druidcraft, for obvious reasons, really, but you work through in different exercises that I do often give people, where you do some writing. There's meditations in there as well. You journey into the cards. You come up with your own affirmations. So it's very much a self-empowerment thing. You can post comments on the web page for each lesson, and you'll see what everybody else has written. So, and Philip and I go in and try and offer some support and comments that way. But people have found it an amazing course. I must have some water, excuse me.
And so it is a course where people come together and do the course together, or is it just...
No, it's done online. You once you enroll on the course, then you have access to the course, and lessons are released weekly. But you can take as long as you like. You move on to the next lesson whenever you're ready to. But one of the great things about it is that you've got it for life. You can keep doing it. It will be a different experience each time. So it's not a course about learning the tarot. It's a course, of exactly what it says, a transformation in yourself. And of course, that's a never-ending and ongoing process. So you can take the course as many times as you like. You work with different cards each time, because you're saying, okay, this is an area we're focusing on now. Again, those different levels, your physical, emotional, mental and spiritual levels, and then the different parts of the major arcana that you work on in each lesson. So you select a card from that suit or that part, and you will get different ones and relate to it at different times. So there's an awful lot on offer there. So yeah, you get to learn those techniques and by experiencing them.
And you said you don't need to have any knowledge about the tarot for this course.
No, you don't. No, because again, it's not a course of needing to know the meanings of cards to get the most out of the course. You literally look at a card and respond, under the direction of what we're telling you to focus on and what you may need to do about it. But it is your thoughts, what springs to your mind, what feelings come up for you. And in one lesson, I think we saw you hold up the High Priestess, didn't we, from the Druidcraft Tarot? And of course, she's got her arms are, if I move back a bit, her arms are up.
Yeah,
like this.
I don't know where I chucked her now.
That's okay. But I think in one lesson, Philip suggests what happens, how does it feel for you when you take on the posture of that card? Which I think is something I know that Mary Greer has her clients do sometimes as well. How does that feel for you? What would it be like? So it's very much about your own personal experience. And if it's the first time you've ever picked a deck up, in some ways, some people would say that's an advantage because you haven't got all this stuff in your head that can get in the way. This is the Nine of Swords. It's meant to be this, that, or the other. Well, it's not meant to be anything. It's about what you get from it.
Kirsten is asking whether there's a structure in the course that people are working through card one by one, or is it just like they drawing the cards without knowing
Yeah.
which card they're going to get?
Yes, it's more that, Kirsten. Yeah, it's not a course that works through the whole deck. It works through, say, in the beginning you work with the suit of Pentacles, and it will ask you to select. Well, the first lesson is a court card, in fact, and then we move on. And you would determine which court card do you feel you are, and that's
Okay.
at the time you do the course. And there's 3 different ways we give you that you can choose to work out which court card you are, or you can simply shuffle them and pick one without seeing, and that's the court card that's representing you at the time. So, and that stays with you right the way through. Then we move on to Pentacles, and you'd select a card from the suit of Pentacles, and sometimes more than one. So it's not a card by card, it's the different levels in yourself. So it's working through those 4 levels.
Very
And the major
interesting.
cards, of course, as well.
And Christine again, we have Kirsten and Christine very busy here
That's
today.
good. Love it.
She would like to know, she can't find anything about the Gnosis deck on your site. She would like to know
Okay.
more about the Gnosis, where she can see some cards
She
perhaps.
should be able to find that. If she goes into the shop, I'm just getting it up on my screen now so I know exactly. Now, again, my wife does all of the website and everything, so she will probably say, well, it's there. But I don't know, so I've got to look.
So it is on your Tarot Therapy CO
Tarottherapy.co.uk.
in your shop.
And then go to shop, and you'll see a page that says tarot decks and other cards. And it's in there. If you click on where it says the Steve Hounsome Tarot, go down that page and you'll see some sample cards and everything in there. So if she has problems, then you are more than welcome to just send me an email or message me on Facebook or whatever, and I can help you and point you in the right direction.
Yeah, Steve is extremely quick in answering his emails, I have to say.
Most of my life is spent here. The OBOD job keeps me busy, sat at the computer. So yeah, most of my life is here.
Suzanne has now joined us with greetings from Essex. Susan
right, lovely.
Sparks, perhaps you know her.
I don't think so, but
And Christine is happy about what you told her.
excellent.
Yeah, so we talked already 3/4 of an hour. Wow. Well, is there another question?
So now I did warn you, Kirsten,
Christine,
that once I get going, I
yeah,
keep talking and you might
totally
need to
okay.
shut
It's
me up.
very interesting. Christine, Bob just put the page in the comments if you want to look at the comments. Thank you,
Oh.
Bob.
Thank you. That's probably Bob that I know. Thanks, Bob.
Bob Turley.
Yeah.
He has commented a lot as well, but it was not so many questions for you, so I didn't.
Bob comes to our groups where we have monthly groups where we do, although some of these exercises that I've been talking about with the tarot and various things. So
Okay.
yeah.
Yeah, you seem to have a huge fan club.
Well, we're very, very blessed, I have to say. The groups that we run, we used to do here at our home. We're in Dorset, right near the coast by the English Channel. But of course, they all had to stop our courses. When our lockdown here happened, we had worked away together, Amy and I, for about 8 years, and then suddenly in 2 hours flat, everything had just gone. So, but we've learned and we've adapted as everybody is, and we do all them by Skype, and it's wonderful because it's opened up. We get people from Canada and America and Romania, all over the place, joining us, and it's beautiful. It's lovely, yeah.
Yeah, I think it's one good thing about this is that we get more internationally connected thanks to.
Well, it's funny, isn't it? Because even though physically we've got to be separate, we get more connected this way. And okay, so it's not the same. You can't give everybody a hug, but there's some really lovely connections you can make.
Yeah,
like this.
So too. Yes. Well, anyway, I think sorry. Oh, I'm clacking here my cards next to the mic. That's not so good. If there are not any more questions, I think we kind of talked about a lot of stuff. And
Yeah.
is there anything you want to add, Steve?
I don't think so. I mean, thank you to everybody for your time. I hope you have found it interesting. And as I say, do by all means, if you have other questions or you want to follow up, do feel free to contact me. Probably email is the best way. There's an email thing on the website, or it's excuse me, it's Steve, Steve, as in my name at the top, Steve at tarottherapy.co.uk. And I'd be happy to communicate with you. We do a mailing list for free on our website. You can join, and we send out newsletters. There are distance learning courses and all of that you can look at and see what's available, and other books and other cards and all sorts of wonderful things on there. So do have a look and let me know what you like.
Yes. Yeah, I think that's about it. Next week, I'm going to speak in German, so it's only for German people or people who speak German. But
yeah, and thank you everybody for tolerating that as well.
no, we want to be more international in Germany as well. And yeah, just come here, watch this video again. It's going to stay on Facebook. I'm going to send it to Steve as well, so he can share it, or you can share it with your community.
Yeah, it'll be up with a page of videos of some old TV things and stuff going back years on our website. We'll pop that up there as well.
Cool. And I'm just looking. No, that's not another question. No, so let's wrap it all together. And it was a great pleasure to talk to you, Steve. You're a very nice Libra. I like talking to Libras.
We're very easy to...
Yeah, just and have a good time in Britain. I hear that times are getting difficult there as well. In Germany here as well. We're heading towards difficult times again. So stay safe.
Absolutely, yes, and very much the same for everybody. Keep positive and keep safe.
Yeah. Bye out there. See you next week.
Bye-bye, everybody. Thank you.